broadcast and it shows the in-car driver, it's just incomprehensible, I think, to the normal person to watch them go that quickly and to constantly be, like you said, you have a team and you're constantly in contact and they're telling you to turn this knob down, to turn, and you're looking at downforce, you're looking at different things, you have a boost button, they're hybrids. I mean, so you have to do all of that while going 220 and be physically fit enough that, because I think the data point is, if you imagine what it's like to go around the Indy track doing a left turn, imagine putting a 45-pound weight on your right hand and then lifting it up, because it's that much force to be able to turn the wheel over and over and over and over again.
I just think at the end of that race they have to be exhausted. I mean,
yeah. I think some of them wear like cooling vests and stuff to keep them, because I know that was one of the things a few years ago they did the safety shields, and it took away some of the air that they would get. I mean, even though it does go over, obviously, because they're so aerodynamic, but it did, I think, make the cars a little more inherently warm, obviously, because there's not that same amount of draft they would get into the car, into the cockpit. But it's crazy, because even the cockpit that they sit in, it's a foam. It's sealed around them. It's custom made to each person, so you don't have a lot of room to move. You can move your arms and your feet, and that's really about it. So, and it's meant for safety. So if you have a wreck, you don't move. Like you are there. You are just in it. So I know that's one of those things that I have a couple of signed things, because Stan Fox was an IndyCar driver from the 90s, and he used to come to Delta every year because he raced for Delta. And so, it's very much rooted in this community. Racing is something it's a heritage here. So
it is. I had the opportunity to meet Charlie Kimball, who's a driver, but in relation to you, he has type 1 diabetes as well.
Yeah.
And so it was a very interesting. He spoke. It was like a pharmaceutical dinner, but he spoke, and so he has a line that is just sugar water.
Yep.
Because he's trying to regulate. So you're already packed in this car, and then you're trying to regulate a blood sugar that's obviously going to spike because your cortisol levels are high. And so just listening to him talk about how to try to regulate that. So someone's telling him how to drive and where to drive, and someone else is watching his blood sugar. Oh. I'm like, can you imagine trying to manage it all?
So there's a driver this year, Carson Daly. He is also type 1, and that's something that he's an advocate for as well. And you're talking about cortisol, but you're also thinking about they're constantly sweating. So the more dehydrated it gets, oftentimes the more difficult it is to maintain and to control sugars. And so, it's the perfect storm, but that's where they train. I mean, those guys are athletes. They are fit.
Very much so.
It's one of those things that to be in that car that amount of time is taxing. It'd be so cool. It'd be, and just to look at like where cars were, and then to now, I mean, the downforce on all of those cars are so great that they, if you could physically do it, can drive upside down, because it forces the car to the ground. So whenever we talk about downforce with racing, it's kind of the reverse of flying, where you're not getting lift, you're wanting to push it down. So the car is physically being pushed to the ground as hard as it can, and that's one of the things that keeps it from drifting or side to side and all the things. But it's crazy.
Well, we put our request into Kathy that we want to take a drive next year.
Sure.
So she got us a driver this year. So maybe next year.
I mean,
she'll send us to the track.
Let's do it. I would be the 2-seater stuff. I know they do those experiences. That'd be so much fun. And I don't even think I know they go at least 150, but still, even at that,
he's like 220, 230.
And I think the perception of speed would be so skewed at that speed, because everyone around you is going the same, and yes, you see the crowd going by, but
so fast
it does. And I mean, it's split seconds. I mean, and it's to watch some of the guys I know watching the Fast Six this weekend. There's a couple guys where you're on that particular day for qualifying, I mean, you're pushing it, and to just watch. There was one particular car that came out of turn 4, which is last turn coming into the straightaway, and his tail just got it just enough that it shifted the car, and watching him react, and that was enough to lose like 0.5 of a second, which in the race world is like a mile.
Right.
I mean, and they immediately they're like, well, he's whatever, but just to watch the reaction speed of like having intuition to correct and then be right back in of like, okay, like, because most people would be like, oh my gosh.
And I mean, you think at that speed, like you think if you're just driving down the road and you overcorrect and you've got to get yourself back, like you're feeling it and you've got to react quickly. But then to think that at speed of 230,
it's craziness. And if you've never been, or even just to go up to watch practice, the track is one of the coolest places. I mean, that's why it draws so many people, because it is truly the greatest spectacle in racing. It's, however, I forget how many hundreds of thousands of people. The track is gigantic, so even if you're on an opposite corner, you can't see to the other side of it. I mean, there's half of a golf course in the center of it. And just to see the cars, I mean, the visceral experience of hearing and seeing the cars go by you, it happens so quickly, but it's such a rush of like adrenaline for you to be a spectator.
And you don't see, I mean, you see them, but you don't, because it's just so
because you can hear them coming, and it's and the thing that the first time I ever went, honestly, the thing that threw me the most, that I guess I didn't expect, because you see data that they talk about on TV, is they always talk about track temp. Track temp is much warmer than typically the ambient temperature, and at the track, when you sit in the stands, you go up on the bottom side of the stands and walk up them, so you come out right by the track, and the heat that the track produces was something that you know that it's hotter, but it's exceptionally warmer. It's wild.
You're not ready for that.
I mean, it's pretty cool, which is part of the strategy too, because a hotter track, you're going to use a different tire compound. A colder track, you're going to use a different. I mean, it's such a.
There's so much, and there's like when you stop and think about racing. Yes, there's the race car driver, but beyond that, there's the engineers and there are the scientists behind it. There are doctors if you're a type 1. You know, I mean, there are so many different pieces. So even if you can't be the race car driver, you could very well be involved by another career.
Yeah. It takes a whole team. I know a guy actually who is also a type 1. Who's on the IndyCar safety team and will travel to different things. 500 or the Indy is one of the ones where the level of training and awareness and stuff they have to go through, because a lot of them are firefighters or paramedics, and how to respond and what to do and how to handle to be around the car after. I mean, it's such a well-oiled machine for safety and for the crowd itself. It's just cool. It's one of those that I think we take it for granted sometimes in Indy, but we also celebrate it more. Where it's just. It's a good time.
It is, yeah.
So
way to kick off your hour. You did great today.
I appreciate it. I tried. I was trying to think of questions that he probably doesn't get asked, because I'm sure it's this. I mean, what he said, that was a 6-1, which we so appreciated him being on, but that has to be a grind too. Just the mental, like you're trying to be in the zone, but then, and that's part of it. I mean, you are a personality and you are the face of the organization as in TT IndyCar as a whole. So it's just part of the grind, So
that's right.
Yeah, that's it's interesting. To talk more, I would be interested to ask him. Even is it different racing? You're in Europe, coming up in Europe versus when he came over here. Was there stark contrast to the two? Is it similar?
He's got such a history. I think there's a lot you could really dig into his.
You could really get into it, and those, I'm sure those guys love talking about it, because that's life. I mean, they're living. Yeah, there's so few of them that do it professionally that they're at that level that it's life to them. So. Well,
we'll see if we can get you in a car next year. We'll do our best.
If they want, I could. If anybody needs to fill in this year, I could.
You're in.
I would. Yeah, I would absolutely.
You're ready. We'll let them know. Have you on speed dial, ready to go.
That would be So and you know what? That's the crazy thing is, in some circuits of racing, there are guys that have been recruited to teams that have been plucked from the gaming world. Really? That run simulators.
Okay.
And they do so well in the simulator that teams will put them in an actual car and see how they do. And there are guys that's how they got their start in it, is through doing simulations and games and stuff. And then the simulators are so real that it translates pretty easily. But you
have the hand-eye coordination already from doing the simulator. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're ready. Here we go.
That's it. Jess, we're buying a simulator. I'm going to be the oldest.
She's shaking her head. She's like,
the oldest race car driver ever.
She may quit letting you come in here, because you always have these grand ideas, and then
So if you've never been, go and experience.
Except it's almost sold out. So
the track. Well, just through the month.
Through the month. Right,
it's even just to go up for a practice is
it's something
is
to
fun.
see.
Yeah, it's fun because it's people watching. It's the track, the sounds, the first time I went, it was just the amount of people. Like, because I don't think you can conceptualize that many people in one spot until you have to leave, and then you sit in traffic for hours.
And then you realize just how many are there.
Yeah. So, have you ever been to the race?
Not to the actual race.
But to the track, obviously.
To the track, yeah, but not to the actual race. So.
Well, we need to get you to the race.
I know. My problem is, like, I enjoy watching it for a little bit, but then, like, they're just going in a circle, and I get a little bored. I know that's terrible, but that's just a little attention deficit.
So I've been 13 times, I think, something like that. And used to go with the same crew every year. We sat in the bleachers off of turn 1 into turn 2. And it's a lot of the same people every year that just get the same tickets basically. Yeah. And when Danica was still racing, Danica Patrick, there was a gal that sat 2 rows in front of us who lived and breathed Danica.
Okay.
And every time she would go by, would scream, Danica! And it was that way for 500 miles. And it was like, okay. Like,
we get it.
You were passionate, but it's fun. So
Danica came to town for a parade. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
It was a good minute ago.
Yeah.
That just came back to me. I don't know. I think it was the fall festival, maybe.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah, because she's retired now and commentating, and was the first female to lead at the track.
That's right. Yes.
So yeah,
there's a lot of history made at the track. Absolutely.
Oh, all kinds, and I don't know. That's where I kind of geek out on. It all started because of Greensburg, Indiana. So
that's right here.
Yep. So based on a guy that invented the first widely adopted headlight to go into production cars. That's what paid for him to buy the track. It was a company called Presto Light, and it was a light that went on very early cars that was adopted by the industry to make sure all cars had safety with the headlights. And he took his fortune from that and bought the ground and developed the speedway. And
it's still there.
Yep, and it's still there, and it's because of Greensburg, Indiana. So
that's right. Did you see the tree being trimmed last week?
I did see stuff on that. Yeah. How cool was that?
So fun.
Yeah. It's the white mulberry. So.
Yes. Yep. Had to get it trimmed up for the year, make it look all pretty.
Yeah. So which is good. That happens just to maintain, because he's a certified or a licensed arborist, so he goes up, and this is I forget how many years he's been doing it now, but it's just keeping track of it, just because it's the tree. We want to make sure that it's staying healthy.
One of those things. I think I want to try to go up in the bucket truck next year with them. You think they'll let me? I doubt it, but
they might.
You never know.
Yeah, they might. That's one of those that you'd have to, you could ask to go up there and see what it looks like.
Right? I mean, I think that would be for documentation. People would love that.
Do you know supposedly what the first tree was? Because the tree that is currently in the courthouse is, I believe, the 13th tree that's been up there, 12th or 13th.
At some point, I remember hearing mulberry, but
so it's a mulberry right now. The first tree was, they think, was a large tooth aspen.
Oh, okay. So, I have heard, yes.
And the story is that because obviously large tooth aspen are not native to Indiana, they don't grow here. But at that point in time, the rail line still ran really heavily through, and there was a train that would come through out of Colorado. And that it was a logging train, so they believe that a bird had more than likely picked up a seed or something and deposited it, and then it grew. And then just over time, they would die, fall out, whatever, new trees would grow. And there's only been, I think, one or two. I know there's one time for sure where there's not been a tree.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
When was that?
Boy, I knew you were going to ask that. I don't remember.
You're the knower of all things.
I don't remember the date, but I do know there was a short period of time where there was not a tree.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yep.
So when said tree dies out, do someone replaces that tree? It's kind of magical, right?
I have wondered that myself because trees obviously have a lifespan, and the county has done a lot to ensure that the tree is going to stay healthy. Because if you look at the roof structure of where the tree is now, there's some strapping on it, and they've done that to maintain, because when they redid the courthouse, they wanted to ensure that the tree would stay secured, the roof would stay secured, because it just has always existed. And I've wondered that too, like if it dies, and that's one of the reasons why they've brought an arborist in, is to ensure the health of the tree. So I don't know if that day were to come. I don't know if they would plant one or
because if this is the 13th tree, so this is somewhat happened.
Yeah, and there's actually old pictures where there's been multiple trees in the courthouse up at growing
really?
at certain points. Yeah, so but this one is just the one that's there now. So.
That's right. It's trimmed, it's pretty, and it's ready for spring and summer.
Pretty it's the story goes that the springs in the clock are what keeps it watered.
I have always heard that. Yes.
So that is one of those and that's another one of those things that we drive by it every day, and I think it's really cool. But it always makes me realize how special it is when I drive by the square and there's people taking pictures of it, like selfies, where I'm like, this is something totally novel to them. They have, so then it brings you back of like, huh, that is pretty.
I think it was last year they put the selfie station in the 1822 alley. Okay. So Mom and I were like, we have to try it, right? So where that's positioned, you get a really great view of the courthouse with the tree in the background. So you need to go try it. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, so you can take your picture and you see the courthouse tree just perfect in it.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think what did I see? Randy Ollis actually shared a picture.
Yeah, so he was over in Ireland, Scotland.
Somewhere, and had a picture in it. He gave us a shout out.
He did. Yes, they had it. That was last week. He had sent that picture to Mom too as well, and Commissioner Pazel was in at that time actually, and so we shared that picture of him with their tree growing out of their building. So
pretty cool. I'm all about the county supporting and ensuring the tree is healthy, because that generates a lot of revenue for the community. I mean, we pay to have it maintained, but the return on the investment from people coming to see the tree outweighs. I mean, that's one of those that's
always my talking point when I go somewhere and they're like, where are you from? I'm from Greensburg. We have the courthouse with the tree. You would be surprised at how many people have heard of it.
Oh yeah, that
mind-boggling.
It was always that, or people know some of our manufacturing facilities because of how well known they are. But yeah, the tree is always.
It's a little more fun for me to talk about the tree.
The tree is immediately, because then if they don't know about it, obviously people know of me here. I give them the full history of what it is, and then they're probably like, why did I even ask?
Why did I didn't know all of that. Just well, what's happening in your world, Christopher?
So today last time I was on, we chatted about how it's May, which is crazy. And we're almost at fair season, and it's summertime. We're coming out of just kind of the rough weather where we get a lot of what's called cabin fever or SAD, which is seasonal affect disorder. And May is actually the Mental Health Awareness Month, too.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to talk quickly and just touch base on mental health as a whole, because it's one of those subjects that there's so much stigma around it that it prevents people from just talking openly about it, and that just a lot of times makes the situation worse. So that was where we are in a desert, unfortunately, for mental health support.
It's very challenging.
We're not alien to that across the nation. We are part of a larger group. That is, there aren't as many providers as what we would like. So in this county specifically, we have about 26,600 people. That's our population. And the last data that came out said about 1 in 5 individuals live with a diagnosable mental health issue. And that could look like, so if you're thinking, well, what does mental illness look like? It's an umbrella term for something that could involve a behavioral disorder, an addictive disorder, depression, schizophrenia, an anxiety disorder, and the list goes on and on and on. So 1 in 5. So if you think about that, and you're even in a room, and that's statistically speaking, that doesn't mean that 1 out of every 5 people, it's just a nationwide statistic that's how many we see.
But when you stop and think about that is a very high prevalence.
That's a super high prevalence. So when you think about that, and to think about the lack of providers is even more of a stark awakening, because we have 1 in 5 individuals that need support and may not have access to it, affordable access, good access in general. So that's one of those things. I know we talked last time, the clinic now is
Yeah,
seeing,
so
right?
we do, the community healthcare clinic does the first and third Mondays of each month, from 6 to 8, and we've got providers in, and it's been off to a great start, and I think a lot of it, you got to take that step to do it, but it's only $10 if you don't have, we don't take insurance, so if you don't have insurance and meet the income guidelines, which are pretty reasonable,
Sure.
You can be seen, and if you don't have the $10, you'll still be seen, so we
Yeah.
encourage people to come out. And then DCMH, Rex was on just before you, and they've hired a second social worker, so they've got 2 counselors kind of going now, so I think as a community we're trying, but
Yeah,
it's
sure.
just the availability is very difficult.
Yeah, and we also have Centerstone in the communities.
We
That's
do.
another great resource if you're somebody that has it. And it's one of those things that whenever we think about the stigma around mental health, it's, I think, difficult for people to understand mental health because you can't see it. I break my arm, I obviously have a visible issue that I'm going to go to the doctor to have it fixed. If I have labs that are off, I can see values that are off. With mental health, it's something that you can't see. So it's difficult for, I think, some people to understand what it is, because, you know, that's when we think about World War I veterans, when they were coming back, a lot of them were diagnosed or were told that they had shell shock. That was, now we understand, PTSD, so postpartum. And that is, or post-traumatic, stress syndrome. So that's one of those things that the more information we get, the better we understand what mental health is and the better we can treat those individuals. So just because we can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that's one of those things that's really difficult. And it's hard for those that champion a mental health issue to open up about it because there is such that stigma around it, which only leads down darker holes a lot of times, or it may increase the behavioral capacity of it. So if you're dealing with an addictive disorder and it's something that you don't want to talk about, that may force you deeper into that hole to try and cope with said issue. So we want to try and reduce that stigma. We want individuals to feel safe and comfortable to come forward and ask. And we as humans also need to understand that, you know, one of the things that as I was driving in this morning thinking about what I wanted to talk about, when you look at data and things that can support those around you, is just the social network. Social network has such a huge piece of feeling involved and feeling comfortable to talk about stuff. And we actually just had a training at the office a month ago. And one of the things that the presenter there said was, I'm going to challenge everybody right now, take out your phone and just send a text to somebody. It could be your mom, could be your wife, it could be a friend that you haven't talked to forever, and just say, hey, I'm thinking about you, I love you. Or just a nice message, just something to stay connected with individuals, because that may be that one text that that person gets that's like, okay, like I am seen, I am heard. So that's one of those things I challenge anybody today. Or if it's just doing something nice for somebody, because it's one of those things that, you know, no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. And that something may be that one piece that somebody just needs to hear. So, you know, today, do something nice. Reach out to somebody that maybe you haven't chatted with and just strike up a conversation. So
being more intentional, I think I keep hearing that a lot. Being intentional with your relationships and friendships, and make sure that you're touching base, because and we all, I mean, Christopher and I are close to the same age. As you get older, you lose touch with a lot of people, and your life gets busy, and it just kind of spirals.
Yeah, and I think social media has been a great thing where people do stay in touch. However, social media also has driven mental health diagnosis through the roof, because there's actually new diagnoses that come out related to social media where people feel the need to be seen, or it causes larger anxiety issues. So that's one of those that all things in moderation, even moderation. So, because one of the big concerns when we talk about mental health is the topic of suicide, which is that's a word we don't like to talk about because it's something that there's shame around it, and it's not anything that's shameful. Suicide is one of the leading causes of death in America, and is the leading cause of death with youth. So whenever we look at statistics, that's really terrifying. One, there is a suicide in America every 11 minutes.
It's very scary.
Yeah, and that is crazy to think about. And a lot of that comes with stigma as well. I know that in the mental health arena, one of the things that they're trying to shift conversation with is the phrasing somebody committed suicide, because that has a negative connotation. Because if somebody breaks an arm, you don't say, well, they committed a broken arm. it's somebody died by suicide, and that's what it is. It's a fact. It's something that we deal with in Indiana. 17 and 100,000 deaths are related to somebody dying by suicide, and that's where us as individuals can help. If you're around somebody and their language starts changing and shifting, it's our duty to kind of ask those questions. If they're saying things, so some things to watch is behavioral changes. If they're starting to sell a lot of their stuff, or they make comments about, well, it'd be better if I wasn't here, or stuff to that degree, that's where starting to ask those questions of, well, hey, what do you mean by that? Let's talk about that. Or just asking, are you okay? And helping them along, because that's something that we also need to be aware of. That's the training that we were going through. It's called QPR. It's question, persuade, and refer. So you're questioning that individual. You're just asking, hey, what do you mean by that? Can you help me understand where you're coming from? And then you're trying to help them along, and then you're not necessarily going to help them out of it, but you can refer them. As you're persuading them, you're referring them into getting into contact with the clinic, with the hospital, with Centerstone, somebody that would be able to be more equipped to help them along. Because I think we get so involved with our own lives that we lose sight of those around us, even as a social network. There's a really well-known case in San Francisco that kind of makes the rounds whenever we talk about mental health, and I think I talked about this last time, where there was a gentleman who attempted suicide on the Golden Gate Bridge, and he was crying, sobbing as he explains it, makes his way out onto the bridge, and there's a couple that were close by that walk up, and as he is about to jump off the bridge, they tap him on the shoulder. So he turns around and said, in that moment, I thought somebody's reaching out, and he talks about how he's crying, and and they hand him a camera and say, would you mind taking our picture? So he takes their picture, hands the camera back, and as soon as he hands the camera back, jumps. And he did survive, and now is a huge advocate for being aware. And he said in that moment they weren't aware. And so it's not that, to put blame on anybody, but we just, help out the fellow man.
But I think being aware is the biggest piece of it. And sometimes you realize somebody needs some help, they may need support to go get that help. So if that means you drive them to an appointment, or you just go with them to get them in the door, sometimes it's just having that little bit of boost of, I can do this, it's possible, I can get the help, I need the help to get there.
Yeah, and those, and individuals that are championing a mental health are amazing at hiding signs and symptoms. So that's where watching for those small changes, that language change, that's where it's, just offering a hand to that individual and to help them along, because even though we might be in an area that we don't have a lot, there's a lot of telehealth options as well, that the health exists. Life is hard. It's a grind every day. And, everybody that's listening, you're doing a great job.
You are, and you're here today.
Yeah,
and
so
just got to make it to tomorrow, and we do it again.
Yep, each day is a new day to live your life and to be able to experience new things. And I don't want to say it gets easier, but it's one of those that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And, I'm somebody that I speak openly that I have been to counseling before, just because there's been times where life just gets overwhelming. And going and talking with somebody is self-care. And it's something that just having a third party that you're able to chat with, and they offer perspective and offer additional, more advanced help if needed, is, for me specifically, was a huge relief, just because you're able to get those thoughts out if you're not comfortable maybe talking with somebody within your social network. So, looking down on somebody that goes and chats with a counselor is crazy to me, because that's something that I think everybody should do, because it is something that it's just like meditating. It's just like going to the gym. It's a way to exercise your mind and to be able to just communicate and to learn how to communicate in those moments. So, like I said, it's one of those that we do have resources in the community. So if you're somebody that would like them, I could easily get you directed where you need to go. So you're more than happy to reach out to the office, or just reach out to one of those organizations we chatted with to try and help get direction and get get where you need to be. Maybe not necessarily a diagnosis, but it's just a time where you just need to chat with somebody, and that's okay.
And it's taking the step. I firmly believe that's the biggest piece with the stigma that surrounds it. Like, you just have to take the first step.
Yep, I think so. And I think as the stigma and those walls break down, you're absolutely right, because it's people feel seen and they feel validated, because it is one of those that we see patients cycle too, where they get help, I feel really great, and they may be on a medication or something, and I'm better, and then stop and cycle. And so that's where having that strong social network to just stay in touch, it helps. So yeah, taking that first step is tough, because admitting that maybe something is wrong in any capacity. I mean, I'm a type 1 and was diagnosed as an adult, and I went a year knowing that's probably what it was without asking for help, because I just didn't want to admit that something was wrong.
Yeah, you just didn't want it.
Yeah, and looking back now, I'm like, that was like just heinous. Like, I should have done what was right by myself and to ensure. So yeah, that first step is terrifying, but it gets the direction that you need to go. So
yes. Also, I want to remind people the CIT program is here in the county. So if you are at a point and you don't know what to do, and you need something right now, you can call 911, or you can just call dispatch, and they will get you connected and get you set up as well. So
Yep. So we do have resources in the community. I know that she talked about it in our training, but I think the one data point that I remember is, I think the presenter in our QPR training said out of the 92 counties, Decatur County ranked in the 80s for access to mental health care. So it exists, it's here.
And we're, as a community, working to build it.
Yeah, and that's something that comes up. I've sat on a lot of boards, and that's something that continually comes up as we need to continue to grow this. And since I've been to Purdue, that resource has grown. The issue is the professionals that exist in that realm, there's just not a lot of them. It's
limited, yes.
So it's not that the community is not trying, it's that having those resources exist, it's a very small pool. So hopefully more individuals will go into that as we break the stigma and realize that it's a real thing, and we will be able to grow our resource here in the community and get the help that we need.
That's right. Very good.
So that was kind of what I wanted to bring today. It's not the most fun topic to discuss.
But it's important.
It is. It's an important topic. And even I talk about mental health all the time, and I'll be honest, it's one of those that it's still uncomfortable sometimes to talk about, because you know that one side of the population is going to roll their eyes and, it's just, you'll be fine, like, get over it, go for a walk. It doesn't work that way. It's a real thing, and we need to address it. So,
and reaching out to your provider, and sometimes, and I say it as a provider, I look at someone, I'm like, when I saw them 3 months ago, this is not what they were. They look different. And again, it's a hard conversation, and sometimes you got to dance the dance to get to that point.
And I think one of the things I think that's awesome is that talking about being just a provider, a general practitioner, when you go to any kind of appointment now, there is
like an assessment.
An assessment, yes, yeah. Thank you. That they ask you mental health related questions as a way to triage if somebody is having suicidal thoughts or they feeling depressed, whatever, to help just reduce the level of maybe those that don't have access. So that was something that went into effect 10, 12 years ago probably.
It's been a good
while.
Where
it was a standard that you would ask those questions. So when those questions are asked, be forthright, be honest with them, let them know, because that they're not trying to pry. It's a legitimate, hey, is it something that, because sometimes I know that whenever I worked at the last hospital, we would have patients that would come in and they would say it was for something else, but it would be for a mental health issue that they just were too self-conscious to say what was going on, and in that moment then they would share what it was. So that assessment does exist to help kind of to get that access if you do need it, because then you are at a prime spot to have those individuals get you referred where you need to go and provide any kind of resource that you would need. So
I would say too, really watch your seniors. That's a group that sometimes I think doesn't get that focus as much because they're retired and they're,
Yep.
but a lot of them are alone and their spouse has passed on or they weren't married and they don't have kids. And so they're alone. They're alone a lot. And that seems to be a group of people that we just need to really hone in on and make sure that they're getting what they need.
So the two groups, I would say seniors and youth. With youth, one of the trends that they see are a lot of those that die by suicide were gamers, and the general consensus is that the idea of permanence isn't the same, because in a game you may die and you're regenerated, and then you die and you're regenerated, you're dying. So you're exposed to this recurring role of you're playing a game and your character dies, and so that idea isn't as strong there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of those. And when you look at just individuals dying by suicide, with youth, it is the leading cause. It's the leading cause of death, and with adults, it's in the top 3, I believe, at this point.
Yeah.
So it is a real thing. But yeah, and we saw those rates spike during COVID as well, because isolation is the worst thing, one of the worst things that those that are struggling with. So yeah, if you have a neighbor or somebody, just check in on them, just make sure they're okay. Again, it just may be that one text or call that shifts their day where they know that they aren't alone. So
that's right. So we're challenging you today to reach out to someone that you haven't recently.
Yep, absolutely.
Check on someone.
So, but yeah, we will. It's outside of that. We're crazy busy in the extension office. It's fair season.
We're under 60 days, so let's go, right?
We are. I have already made a couple calls this morning, just trying to get stuff aligned. We had our livestock deadline was on the 15th, so we have all that information in now. So we are, the busy season starts in January, but we are full.
This is like full blown.
Yeah, we're full on now, where the phone is ringing off the hooks. And if any families are listening, if you have questions about stuff or you need help, please reach out to the office. One of the things that we try to do, or I encourage the office, is that if we have somebody come in that is struggling with getting something online or whatever it is, we have computers that we can sit with you and walk through the process with you to teach you, because it has become more cumbersome. That's one of those things that 4-H is supposed to be about fun, and one of the things I unfortunately hear from families is it's anxiety filled, or it's something that causes stress because there's so many deadlines. Everything is online. Did I get everything? And if I miss something, and so we want to make it as easy as possible, because 4-H is supposed to be about fun. We just have the homework assignments that go with it to ensure, and we have that because we want to make sure that we have what we need to provide the best experience for you. So reach out if you have questions. There's still time to enroll. You wouldn't be able to show an animal, but if you wanted to do livestock, you could do a poster, but you could sign up the week of the fair, and as long as you still meet the requirements for your project, you would get signed off on your books and meet it. So
my last question for you today
is,
how is your crocheting coming?
So I have started it, and
you have?
So when I say I've started it,
you thought about it.
Well, no, I mean I've picked up a hook. I made a pretty sweet chain the other night, and then I got sidetracked doing something else. So I really need to pick that back up. Yeah. So
it's getting real.
It is. Yeah. I really need to. I get overwhelmed when I go and look at all the bolts of yarn, where I'm like, oh, I could do so much with that, and I'm like, you can't even do it. Like, you can't even do a chain. Like,
I was in Hobby Lobby and walked through there, and the amount of yarn they have, and like, there's different. It's all different, right? Like, it's got different. I don't know the right terminology by any means for yarn, but there's different sizes, I think, and different things, and like,
it's I think it's. The thing that I really find fascinating and awesome is that all of that is coming back around. And I think that is one of the things that came out of COVID, where people had to find hobbies.
Yes.
And there are so many things now, like our generation is picking back up on those crocheting and knitting and the cooking and home preserving and rearing your own animals and being self-sufficient. And it's fun. It's fun to see.
Someone referred to it the other day. We're bringing back the Meemaw generation.
Yeah,
and we are.
We have, and I'm sure there are some homemakers listening. Whenever I talk with certain people that aren't affiliated with Extension, it could be a friend or something, and they're wanting to learn to crochet or to sew, that's where I'm like, you need to reach out to your local homemaker club because they are the living Pinterest. Pinterest is because of homemakers.
Absolutely.
I mean, everything that you see on there,
they can do,
and they could show you how to do it 1,000 times better than the majority of the people on Pinterest.
We had our ladies' lunch a few weeks ago, and we had everybody do a recipe so that we could put them together in a book.
Sure.
And so Marilyn Davis was working on hers, and I walked by, and I said, I really hope that's the angel food cake recipe. She's like, oh, it's not. She's like, oh, I don't know if I remember that one. I was like, well, but like for me, like she makes like the best angel food cake, I think, and you want to be able to continue that for years to come. So.
Oh yeah, you know what? Whenever we got married, we got married at the height of COVID, so it was there was just a lot of things that we had to have some concession for. But when we did our desserts, I'm not a big sweets guy, and people that have cake, that's fine, but it's not my favorite. So that was because, in my opinion, there are amazing bakers out there, but you cannot beat baked goods from homemakers.
No,
I'm sorry.
They're their own. They're their own breed.
It is one of those where it's like, can you write down the recipe? And I guess I could, but I've just done it for so long that I just do it.
Right.
So it's, and even if you did their recipe, it would never be the same.
No.
So that was one of the things that we did, is that I contacted some of our homemakers and said, hey, would you do what you are famous for? Like, you are known for a baked item. Like, yeah, sure. So then we had a variety of those, and we still have people to this day that's what they remember from the wedding, they were like, oh, because we had, everything had to be individually wrapped and stuff. And it even got to the point at the wedding where I had people that would come up and were upset because, well, Emily has 3 of this, and she's like, I want one. Can you go? And I was like, oh, guys, seriously, like, come on.
Like, it's not. But you're absolutely right. They're their own. They're in their own category of life. Yeah.
So that's one of those that homemakers are still a club, but they still exist. There's multiple in the community. If it's something that, if you find Pinterest as an avenue of being a hobby, I encourage you to reach out to a homemaker club and to join and to have the social network there, because I know that those women have sat me at sewing machines, and I have baked and done all the things. I mean, and I enjoy it as all the time. Like,
they'll teach you anything.
And that's one of the things that they love to teach you. I mean, if you have the willingness to sit and to learn, they will, like, most of them are the most patient. Some of them I'm sure are tired of my antics at times, but it's I apologize. I said that it was a yarn, was a bolt. It is, I just received word, it's a skein, and that is correct.
It's a skein.
A skein, yes.
The thing of yarn is a skein. A bolt is when it is fabric.
Yes, that is correct.
It's a skein.
Corrected. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Nobby.
Love that for us,
yeah.
right?
So yeah, that's what we have going on right now. Fair books are in process. We do have open class books available. I highly encourage anybody that is involved in some sort of hobby to check that out, because we probably have a category.
That's right. Jump in there.
So those books are at the office, so you can pick one up there at our it's at the new office, and they are placed around the community, and so we are full on. The paved loop is in process, so that's going to be a new big upgrade as well, as long as the electric at the fairground. So the fair is going to look a lot different this year, and it's going to be in such a big way to improve things that I'm excited for it. It'll be good.
It'll be very good. Extension office number if they have questions.
Yep, 812-663-8388.
All right, Christopher, thanks so much for being in with us today.
Thank you.
11:05 up next. I believe we've got Tammy with the Foundation, or Jen.